So, as you can tell from my clickbait title, I'm going to be talking about how gay the Avatar fandom is now. With Avatar: The Last Airbender being released on Netflix, well, re-released since it was like on there 7 years ago, and that was when I actually watched it, and then it got taken down because of, I don't know, not having the rights to it anymore, but I digress. And everyone being stuck in their house because of quarantine, those of us who see the show as part of our childhood have recently been re-watching it. And people who missed out on it or were too young to watch it when it was initially coming out, or on Netflix back, you know, before when it was on Netflix the first time, are getting the chance to experience it now. With the show once again being accessible, there was the fear that the fandom becoming popular again would resurrect old shipping discourses. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, I doubt there are many of you, but when the show was still airing and many years after it had aired, there was a divide in the fandom of those who thought that Katara should have ended up with Zuko versus ended up with Aang like she did in canon. The fandom ship of Zuko and Katara, Zutara for people who know ship names back when ship names were a normal just combination of the two names. Looking at you, musical theater fandom. Until recently, Zutara was the most popular ship in the fandom. Like most fandom ships, it was born out of taking canon moments and development and combining it with non-canon ideas and scenes. As with most popular fan ships, the majority of Zutara fans were positive and creative people, but as all of us know, in any shipping community, there are going to be the handful of people that are louder and angrier than they probably should be about fictional characters. There are people like that on both the Zutara shipping side and the canon shipping side, which is how the shipborne discourse between Katang, I think that's how we pronounce the Katara and Aang ship name, and Zutara shippers disagreeing on how the plot should have gone, and generally fighting about who was right or wrong. Most of that died out as the show got older and people matured, I assume. But with all of us stuck at home and everyone having a little bit of that crazy shipper energy within them, was rewatching the show going to bring back old feelings? The answer is no, we all ship Zuko now. I think I see as much actual content for these guys as I do just bewilderment from old fans who were afraid that new fans were going to pick a side in the heterosexual shipping war. By doing so, bring back old arguments and fights that everyone wanted to leave buried. But everyone jumping onto this ship has surprisingly made it the most popular ship in the fandom at the moment. I'm not saying it's the most popular in overall content because Zutara has like 15 years on us. So when I say most popular, I mean in current online conversations, fan art, and fan fictions being written about it. I think what's so interesting about this ship being popular right now is less the pairing itself and more the fact that it was a relatively small, untalked about pairing a few months ago, and now 15 years after the show started coming out, it's become big. However, I don't really think this kind of ship dynamic is all that new. The more and more that I observe shipping culture, the more I see the same sort of pattern of fans wanting to ship the disaster bi and the edgy gay. Usually, said sexualities are not at all represented in canon, but more analyzed and added on by the fandom themselves. We're drawn to the idea of a certain dynamic of two people being together. One of them being the comically but strong character with underlying insecurities who at heart is a very good leader and a great person but has to deal with said insecurities at crucial moments. And the other being the deep down well-meaning character who is strayed away from the right path because of their damaged past and traumatic parental relationships that makes it difficult for them to trust others, but then has to integrate into the main team, showing that they were actually the missing piece of said team the whole time. So yeah, Cachadora, and also Tododeku, and Clance if Voltron was done well. This is the kind of ship that we're drawn to right now, so when new fans come into a show like Avatar, it's that sort of ship that they're maybe not consciously looking for, but still looking for nonetheless. But also old fans coming back to the show that came out in a time where fans were more into the whole bad boy, good girl dynamic, which I will not knock because I get. But right now, the majority of the ships that are popular is less that and more what I discussed earlier. But also maybe what makes old fans like Zuko more than Zutara right now has less to do with the dynamic and more with them being significantly more gay? So this is basically me studying myself, and I'm not trying to speak for every single Zuko shipper. Most of us watched Avatar at a relatively young age when there were a lot of things about ourselves that we didn't really recognize. When I first watched the show, the idea of two characters that were the same gender getting together was pretty much unheard of. And then in the following years, I've realized things about myself. And so has this fan base and even the people behind the show. I mean, look at Korosami. So what does all of this mean? Well, mostly that Zuko Nation is where the Avatar: The Last Airbender fandom is at and the headship war is dead. But Also, I think that this is just one small fandom example of how much a show like Avatar really has to offer. 15 years later, new fans can discover things that old fans never even noticed. And old fans can come back and relate to things that they had never related to before. Zuka shows us how fans have changed and grown up since the show first came out, and I think that's kinda cool. And at the end of the day, who cares what you ship in a 15-year-old cartoon? What I think is important and honestly kind of special here is the fact that this show not only still has so much to offer, but that it has something new to offer, even after so long. And to that, I say, Flameo. Guys, I have been waiting so long to just like normalize saying Flameo hot men. I've been waiting to the point where I can just say that in normal conversation and people won't be like, this isn't my normal type of video, but I kind of want to make more stuff like this. I don't know. Recently, I've liked the idea of doing more just AniTuber stuff, even though Avatar's not an anime, but if you watch Avatar, you're still a weeb, so... Bye.